Hey everyone, this is Phil, and today we will be reviewing the MoYu Aosu 4x4. So this is a new 4x4 by MoYu. It comes after the Aosu, which I will also show you in this video for comparison purposes. This is the box of the Aosu. It's pretty basic. It has Felix showing off a MoYu cube. He looks pretty excited about this, and what's most interesting is over here it tells you what color the cube is, and it looks like a person actually used a pen to check it off, and it's just very surprising that they would have an individual just check off what color the cube is, especially when you can't see what color the cube is from the box. But the box aside, this is the cube. It does not come in these actual colors. These are just my preference for stickers. As you can see, it's fit for the MoYu 4x4. We will be coming out shortly with new stickers, I guess updated stickers, that will fit this cube even better. This is the current fit of the Aosu, and it fits actually pretty well. It's just the centerpieces of the Aosu are round and not straight cut like the Aosu. So this review will be basically 5 sections aside from this intro. I'll talk about how this cube moves out of the box, what the mechanism looks like, how it performs after you lube it, and some basic recommendations, and afterwards I'll end with some closing thoughts. So let's check out how this cube performs out of the box. So when I got the cube out of the box, I was actually very impressed because the cube moved very, very well. I have a separate video about my complete first impressions. I will link the video in the description for your convenience. It's really surprising, and it was very impressive. The cube was very light out of the box, and it did not have any sort of popping issues, though some areas were kind of dry, and it took a little extra force to move through. The cube in general is very light and very easy to move, which distinguishes itself from the Aosu, where a lot of people report that you have to do tons and tons of solves to break the cube in, and then you lube it, and then you break the cube in some more, and then you have a great 4x4. I feel with the Aosu, the cube is already at a pretty good usable level when you first get it out of the box, and it was very surprising to see such a good 4x4 come out of the box. It corner cut, and it moved quite well, and there was no locking issue with the cube. So all in all, I was very impressed, and you can see my full reactions and first impressions in the new video I have in the description, so feel free to check that out if you want more first impressions videos. Now let's take a look at the mechanism and see what the cube looks like on the inside. Okay, so this is the mechanism section, and in this section I will talk about what the cubes look like on the inside. So this is the Aosu on the left. It has not dyed internal pieces, so I guess primary plastic color, and the Aosu has, I guess, whatever color the cube is. In this case, it's black. So let's take a look at the inside of the Aosu first. It's got a very similar concept to the MoYu Aosu, except as you can see, you can't really see the core, and that's because the internal piece, the large internal piece, is really fat. And I'll show you when we take the cube a little bit more apart. You can see the internal piece over here. The big internal piece is really fat, and it leaves really no space inside the cube, and pretty much all of it's plastic. There's some hole here for the corner stock base here, but aside from that, the cube is mostly plastic, and you can't really feel it. The weight difference is really not that big, so it's pretty cool how they filled the cube in with more plastic. I guess it makes the cube more stable. Let's take a look at the pieces now. So this is the Aosu corner. It has a really fat stock and base, and the stock is longer than the Aosu stock, as you can see by comparison here, and the base is also different. This is concave and this is convex, so this, I guess, juts into the cube more and takes up more space. And so what you'll notice is this piece over here, this convex corner base, is actually quite large and stays in the cube quite well. The edge piece of the Aosu compared to the Aosu also differs. You can see the Aosu is the one on the right. To get my camera to focus, you can see this sharp protrusion here on the Aosu, It does not exist on the Aosu. I was very happy with that because I always think that I'm going to cut myself on this. So I'm glad that the designers took that out, and it didn't really seem to affect the cube negatively, so it's pretty good. And the centerpieces are pretty similar, except for the fact that the Aosu has an extra kind of ridge over here, as you can see. The ridge versus the flat Aosu centerpiece. So all of these put together gives the cube a pretty stable composition. The last thing I want to talk about is the centerpiece. The centerpiece, like the Aosu, is actually made up of two different areas. So you've got this this circle area around the screw, you can see, but I'm tracing the tip of the screwdriver around. And then there's another cap over here that swivels around the center. So the center's fixed. And usually when you open the cube up to lube it, you lube the contact point between the core and the centerpiece. In this case, you would lubricate the contact point between the swiveling square piece, and the stable center circle piece. So that was kind of a mouthful, but that's what you do. That's the part that's actually spinning on the cube, so that's what you'll lube. And all in all, this mechanism is very safe, and this cube has not popped on me yet. Occasionally it will lock if I'm doing something extremely violent or overly ambitious, but aside from that, the cube is much more stable than the Aosu, and I'm really happy that they changed the mechanism for the better. I can't attribute the stability to any particular thing in the mechanism, but I know for a fact that this combination of things makes the cube very, very good, very, very stable, and very, very safe. Alright, so let's talk about performance after lube. So even before this cube was lubed, it was already quite good, but especially after the cube was lubed, I was very impressed. The cube became softer, you can tell. It's much softer, and it's not as loud, and the pieces slide with very good consistency and speed. The outers are very, very quick, and this is something that I feel is very different from the Aosu. The outers are pretty quick here, but you can hear the crunch of the Aosu, and this is really not the case with the Aosu. It's much lighter, and it feels like there's less grinding in the middle. And the cube, if I were to describe it in simple English, I'd say it's very light, very easy, and very low resistance. And this, coupled with the fact that it does not have a popping issue, is really good, because it means that you can change the tensions at will to something from something really, really tight, if that suits your needs, to something quite loose. My cube is pretty loose, you can see here, pretty loose, and I don't have any popping issues, and the cube moves with a great stability. So I really like the fact that you can be really flexible with the tensions and not have to risk popping. I know that was a concern with my Aosu. If it was really light tensions and really loose, I'd really like the feel, but occasionally the piece would fly out and I'd get really frustrated. And so I tension the cube really, really tight to avoid that, but now the cube is slightly heavy for me, and you know, it's not as optimal as I wanted, whereas this cube is really good balance between its stability and its speed. You can increase the cube's speed by lowering the tension without compromising your stability, so I felt that was excellent. And of course this cube is capable of internal slice like this. Everyone needs that nowadays. The Aosu was able to do this too, and this, I guess, differentiates this from the Shengshao 4x4. And the internals, after you lube, can get a little heavy, so I wouldn't use too much lube on the internals. I personally used weight 2 to lube the contact point between the circle and the square pieces I showed you on the centerpiece in the previous section. I lubed the contact points there, and I dabbed a little bit of lube on the internal pieces that I couldn't reach by opening the cube like this. And then I also added some Maru lube, and now the cube moves very, very well. And very happy with it. It's very consistent, it's very light, very easy, and it's very accommodating. So I'm really glad, again, that MoYu decided to update their 4x4. This was clearly a good idea, and I think that the added freedom of the outer layers will really help people get faster times simply because their 3x3 stage will or should be better. You know, sometimes when we're doing 3x3, we can move, or I guess we move faster than we think on a 3x3 occasionally, but on the 4x4 it's kind of opposite. You know, you think faster than you move, but with this you don't really have that issue because you can move quite quickly on this puzzle. And so for those of you that feel like you can get faster by getting a faster cube, this will definitely be up your alley. So speaking of recommendations, I will give full recommendations in the next section, so let's go to that. Alright, so this is the recommendations section, and in this section I'll talk about who I think this cube will be good for, and my answer is very general. I think the cube is good, and I think it has something for everyone. So for beginners, the cube is really low maintenance, really low upkeep. You just get the puzzle. You can even choose not to lube it, and just play with the tensions, which is really easy, and you can do that in a few minutes. And now you've got yourself a really fast, really quick, very flexible 4x4, and this is surely, you know, something that beginners can really appreciate, unlike you know, other 4x4s that are older and kind of outdated and really slow out of the box, and which require a lot of breaking in and solving and lubing and modding. This cube requires none of that whatsoever. If you really want just a solid 4x4, you can take it out of the box and it's solid. For fast competitive solvers, this cube just has such a big physical advantage over other cubes in the sense that it can physically move easier and faster than its predecessor, the Weisu, and also most Shengshao 4x4s, I feel. And of course, everyone's modded 4x4s, loop 4x4s are going to be different, but I can say, you know, from a general perspective, I feel like this cube is easier to move. And of course, if you take care of it and you lube it and tension it to your preference, I'm sure this cube will be able to compare with your best 4x4 because it's just objectively a really awesome cube. And so as long as the price is right and money's not an issue, I really recommend this 4x4 for pretty much everybody that does 4x4. Or if you're just curious about 4x4, this is a cube to start out with because it will make 4x4 solving a real pleasure. And before, you know, I really didn't do the event, and I just kind of solved 4x4 for fun and had no intention to compete. But afterwards, with this cube, I really felt, you know, it's not so much of a chore. I can do some solves without feeling stressed. It's because this cube is really easy to move. So if you feel like, you know, big cubes stress you because they're hard to move, hard to turn, and frustrating, really try this cube out because it will change your mind. It's really easy to move and does not make you tired, which really I appreciate. So, you know, in general, I think this cube has something to offer for everybody. And as long as money is not an issue, I really recommend getting it because it is awesome. So with that, let's get to the final closing thoughts, and then we'll take a look at some solves. All right, so let's end with some closing thoughts. So my biggest reaction to this cube when I first got it was just, I was totally impressed by its quality and its speed. I did not expect MoYu to just come out with a new 4x4, especially when the Weisu was such a success. A lot of people like the Weisu, and a lot of fast solvers switched to it immediately and did a lot of great things with it. And I thought MoYu was going to do something else, maybe release another puzzle or something, but instead they came out with a new 4x4, and it's, you know, defied my expectations, so I was really surprised. And now, you know, I can say with confidence, I think this cube, this 4x4, is the best 4x4 on the market by far. It does not have any popping issues. It moves so quickly, so easily, and there are no big weaknesses at all. And I think to dislike it, you will really have to dislike the way it feels. That's just a personal preference, and I have never met a person before that dislikes, you know, the soft and quick cube. Most people kind of like that feel. So I think this cube will have great universal appeal, and I think, you know, MoYu did an excellent job. And thinking back, I don't think MoYu ever released a bad cube. You know, sometimes companies will release really good cubes, and then all of a sudden they come out with something that doesn't one-up their previous product, and people kind of get disappointed, like when Diane came out with the Panshi, and people were comparing it to the Zanshi, and they were kind of flustered because the Panshi did not really catch on, and it did not really improve upon the qualities of the Zhanchi, and so people were kind of bummed out by that. But MoYu, on the other hand, has really one-upped themselves. The Weisu was already a great cube. World record solvers were using it, fast people, everyone was using it, and now here is a cube that is, I feel, even better. So really good job to MoYu, because I think it's hard enough to make a good cube. It's even harder to make an even better cube, and especially the amount of time they took to make it. So I was really impressed, and I rarely give reviews, just throwing the product out there, pushing people to try it, because I like to stay as even-handed, calm, and objective as possible. But I can really say I'm really excited about this 4x4. I really want to see someone incredibly fast use it. I know I'm not that great at 4x4 myself. I can't say I'm bad either, but I'm just not cut out for 4x4. I really want to see someone that's actually awesome at 4x4 use this. It's going to look so awesome because it will move so quickly, and it's going to move so easily, and they're going to have a great time, I hope. So again, if this cube happens to be near you, if a friend has it or something, I really recommend trying it out, because it is the 4x4 currently. MoYu did a really great job, and I think it really raised the bar for 4x4s in general. I think Sheng Xiao and Dian need to step it up, especially I guess Dian hasn't made a 4x4 in a while, but Sheng Xiao is, I guess if I worked for Sheng Xiao, I'd feel kind of threatened by these MoYu fellows. So hopefully this 4x4 will inspire new competition, new ideas to make 4x4 puzzles better, and I know 4x4 has come a long way where you can't even turn the internal slice to where you can now do that with confidence and move the outer layers as fast as you can move a 3x3. So I'm really happy that MoYu made this cube, and I'm really happy that I got to get one to try out. So this is pretty much the end of this overview. Thank you guys very much for watching, and if you have any questions, comments, or anything you'd like to say, feel free to get in touch with me, and we'll have a chat. So thank you once again for watching the video, and see you in the next video.